Assalamu alaikum everyone. It's that time of the year again when the Z word is on everyone's lips. Yes, I'm talking about Zakat. Look, I know it can be scary and painful and frankly time consuming, but in this video, my aim is to take the Z out of Zakat. See what I did there? In this video, I'm going to explain to you what Zakat actually is, when you have to pay it, what assets you have to pay it on, the best place that you can calculate Zakat really painlessly and also get a free portfolio health check. And finally, what are the key criteria that you should look for in a charity before you give them your Zakat. If you're new to this channel, Islamic Finance Guru, or IFG for short, is a halal investment and personal finance platform where we analyze, review and compare all the latest and greatest that are coming out of the Islamic finance world from financial products and investments. Our mission is really simple. We want to help Muslims everywhere get wealthier and put their money to work. If that sounds like it's up your street, then please do like this video, please subscribe to our channel and follow us on our journey. And please feel free to share this video with your friends and your family. If you'd like to chat with me or thousands of like-minded others, then please do join our very active Telegram groups and join the community. Zakat is the third pillar of Islam and is compulsory upon every Muslim that has assets over a certain amount. And we'll talk about what that certain amount is in just a second. You have to give 2.5% of your wealth to charity. But Zakat is not like any other charity. It is a very specific category in Islam that you have to give to 8 specific people. And expert charities know what those people are and they will give to them. But that's why it's very important for you when you're choosing the charity and that you're choosing the donation section to choose the Zakat box and not the Shadaqah box or any other box, because that makes all the difference in the world between your Zakat being accepted or not accepted. Confusingly, there's another thing floating around called Zakatul Fitr, also called Sadaqatul Fitr. That is something completely different. That's the stuff that your father made you pay that 20 quid before your Eid Salah. That's what that's all about. And we're not going to cover that in this video, but I just wanted to flag to you that that is out there and it's something separate. You have to pay Zakat if you have wealth above the Nisab threshold and you've been at that threshold or more for the entire year. Ibrahim, what's this Nisab threshold you talk about? So the Nisab threshold is a threshold that was set by Prophet ﷺ back when he was around, and it has gold and silver as a 2 criteria that you could potentially look at. The gold Nisab threshold as of April 2021 is around £3,400 and the silver threshold is £360 or thereabouts. But hang on, Ibrahim, you just given me 2 different thresholds. Which one do I follow? So typically the scholars say that you should follow the lower threshold, £360, because that is A, playing it safe, and we like to play it safe when it comes to our religion, and B, it is also encouraging more people to give Zakat, and that's usually a good thing. So £360 is the number that you should keep in mind, and if you are going above that, then you are going to be Zakat eligible. You need to be paying attention and doing the calculation this year. You don't actually have to pay your Zakat in Ramadan, but a lot of people do that because of course in Ramadan every good deed is on turbo boost. So if you're going to pay Zakat, you might as well get the maximum out of it by doing it in Ramadan. Top tip number 1, you don't have to pay Zakat in bulk at the time of payment. You can set up a direct debit these days and pay it over the course of the year, but you shouldn't extend it more than a year. You should make sure that it is paid definitely within that year. You definitely need to give Zakat on the following: cash, foreign currencies, and gold and silver. Except if you wear that gold and silver, you don't have to pay Zakat on that. But the stuff that you're saving up and is just in cold storage, you do have to pay Zakat on that. And then there's the more complicated stuff. But don't worry, before I dive in, I want to give you some hope before we descend into this Mad Max world of complicated Zakat. And the hope is that in the section following this one, I will explain to you one place where you can work out your Zakat completely painlessly and very, very quickly without necessarily needing to know all of this jargon and all of this technical stuff in your head. But with that, let's now descend into the pit of complicated Zakat. When it comes to your business, you need to pay Zakat on your cash in the business, the receivables, the money that's going to be coming to you very shortly, and the works in progress if, for example, you are a factory and you're making things. You don't need to pay zakat on your fixed assets. And of course, if you own a business 50-50 with a partner, then you only need to pay zakat on the 50% that you own rather than the whole thing. For stocks, if you are buying a stock to trade it, you're going to buy and sell it very quickly, then you need to pay zakat on the full amount. If, however, you are buying to hold, then you need to work out the zakatable assets within that stock. And you would find that by looking at the annual accounts. And the zakatable assets are the things like the cash, the receivables, and the works in progress, as we discussed in the business section. So for example, let's say you buy a stock for £100 and you find out that 30% of that is zakatable. So you now have to pay 2.5% zakat on £30, which comes to 0.75 pence. And that is the zakat done for that stock. If you hold a basket of stocks, or you hold a fund or a pension that is invested in stocks and shares, it's going to be very difficult to calculate zakat on each of the shares. So you can take an approximation approach where you take 25% of your holding and you pay 2.5% zakat on all of it. That way you save yourself a lot of very, very fiddly and sometimes impossible calculation. With property, if you are buying it to sell it and flip it, then you need to pay zakat on the full amount. If, however, you are buying it to rent out or you're buying it to live in, then you don't need to pay zakat on that property. With crypto, the jury's kind of still out on exactly where we land with zakat because it's such an emerging area. The play it safe approach that most scholars are taking at the moment is just pay zakat on that full amount, 2.5% on whatever you own in crypto. However, we do have some personal sympathies for people who say that, look, cryptocurrencies, many of them are really a digital asset as opposed to a currency, and therefore they are not really zakatable. And maybe in the future we'll do a video on this. But for now, play it safe and probably just pay the 2.5% on the full holding. For debts that people owe you, i.e. money that's going to come back to you very shortly in the next year or so, then you should pay zakat on that. Top tip number 2, if you have lots of outgoings coming out, especially in the next month or so, for example, your rent, your bills, various other things that you owe people, then you can deduct all of that from your zakatable assets. So that will bring down your overall zakat. This Ramadan, inshallah, we're going to be launching the IFG Zakat Calculator. And the idea for this came from all of the years previously, where whenever we've calculated our zakat, we've always felt that with some of the calculators out there, you don't necessarily leave it feeling that it's covered absolutely everything. So this calculator that we designed is very much informed by our investment and business backgrounds to make sure that everything is actually in fact covered. And there's more. Because we figured that, look, if you're going to be giving all of this information and putting down all of your portfolio and assets, then why not give you a free portfolio health check that you can download and read, and you can find out some improvements and suggested ideas for investments that you can consider that can help you in the long run as well. So check it out. The link is in the description below. The first thing is, don't just look for how efficient a charity is and whether or not it deducts any admin fees or if it's 100% charity or not. In my sincere view, that is not a really good way of thinking about charity. Islam, the Quran, says that you are allowed to give some charity to those who administer that charity. And the reason is very simple, because to run a proper operation that is handling millions of pounds, you need to hire the right people, you need to make sure that you have the right governance, the right technology, the right infrastructure, and newsflash, that all costs money. So I actually think that you should look at how efficient that charity is, sure, but also how effectively it delivers that with the money that it spends as well, rather than just focusing on 100%. The other thing that you should watch out for is that the charity should be registered with the Charities Commission, and it should have reputable people involved at the board level and at the trustee level as well. It is ideal if a charity is giving zakat locally. So if a charity is doing that, then you should give them a bit of credit, some brownie points for that as well. If you're going to give internationally, then my view is that you need to give it to a charity that has the requisite infrastructure and scale and the manpower and expertise to be able to deliver that charity in as effective a manner as possible in all of the countries around the world that it purports to give that charity to. If it's a small charity, then realistically it's going to struggle to be able to do it as efficiently or as effectively as some of the bigger ones. If you do want to give to your extended family, perhaps if you've got family in Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, places like that, then feel free to give a portion of your money to them, because charity is supposed to start from those who are nearest to you and that you have the most responsibility for. A key thing to look out for in a charity is look at where they've previously spent their zakat money and what they have said to you about it, how transparent they are, and how clearly they govern that zakat allocation as well. Really important points to look out for. With the IFG Zakat calculator, we are working specifically with National Zakat Foundation and Islamic Relief. And the reason why we picked those two in particular was because we think that they fit really nicely on the criteria that we've set out. So with NZF, they are a local charity and they have really high transparency ratings and they're very focused on just zakat. And with Islamic Relief, they are an old charity, they've got really strong infrastructure, a global reach and lots of in-house expertise. And we think that's crucial to give charity at scale in a global world that we live in today. So that's it, folks. But in summary, if you've got assets over £360, then you need to be paying zakat on that. And you should definitely check out the IFG Zakat calculator, because it will make your life a lot easier and get that money paid to some really cool charities that we're working with. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.